Tom, don't do nothing you don't want to be remembered for, you hear me?
Probably too late for that.
Tommy Angelo was Ennio Salieri's most effective triggerman. He rose quickly through the ranks, and without his help, the Salieri crime family would have been wiped out by the opposing Morello family. Tommy terrorized the city for years, putting enemy mobsters, police officers, and innocent bystanders into the ground while propping Salieri's business up. But how many did he take down before leaving that life behind?
Man needs friends if he's going to survive in this world.
Yeah. Well, in my world, it's the other way around.
Tommy Angelo was born in Sicily in 1900 and emigrated to the United States with his family at a very young age. He lived an honest life and eventually purchased his first taxi in 1926, where he worked as a cabbie until 1930 in the fictional city of Lost Heaven. He experiences his first run-in with the mob one night during a smoke break. He hears a car crash from around the corner, and just seconds later, Polly and Sam come running and force Tommy into the cab so they can escape the guys pursuing them. He makes Dominic Toretto look like an amateur after outwitting the several cars chasing them and getting the two mobsters to their safe house in Little Italy. He learns they work for the notorious mob boss Salieri and gets paid for his trouble.
Scratches on your car. You swerved to keep from hitting a little old lady.
How do you explain the bullet hole, Sam? Sam tells Tommy if he needs work or a loan to come see them, but despite how much money they put in that envelope, he wasn't drawn to that life. But he admits the long hours alone with his thoughts and the universally terrible experience of working with customers all the time began to make him consider other options. That all came to a head when Tommy was taking a coffee break one day and a couple gangsters that chased them the other night rough him and his taxi up. He makes a run for it, and knowing Salieri's place is nearby, beelines it directly for them. They don't dare act on Salieri's doorstep, and Tommy is taken inside to meet the Don directly. He's initially offered some cash to fix up his car again, but he's looking for revenge and wants help to go after the goons that harmed him. The Don assigns Polly to the job and tells Tommy when he gets back they'll discuss what's next. Polly introduces Tommy to Vinny to gather a couple sluggers and Molotov cocktails for their little revenge mission. He also meets Ralphie, who is their vehicle guy, and sets them up with a piece of crap. Polly guides Tom to where the goons tend to hang out and distracts the guard at the gate while he sneaks around back. Tommy sneaks up on the guy and puts him in a sleeper hold, but whenever he does this move, it doesn't look like he's actually killing them, so I won't count these as kills. With them out of the way, Tommy and Polly start smashing the goons' cars up until some come running out, and again I won't count these as kills since Tommy only hits them a couple times with a bat to knock them out. They light the cars on fire before hijacking one of the nicer ones and gunning it back to Salieri's. The Don tells Tommy they can use a guy like him and sets up some ground rules. No fucking cursing, no dealing in dope, and stay out of trouble with the cops. He demands loyalty and will ensure he's paid handsomely and welcomes him to the family. From there, he begins his new life, and admits work is pretty slow to start while he learns the ropes. One day though, the Don assigns him as a driver while Sam and Polly do their rounds collecting protection dues from businesses around town. Tommy is given his first piece, and they start work for the day. The first collection goes smoothly, although they aren't happy about it. The second one Polly does on his own, while the other two listen to merchandise being broken from outside. The third one is out in the country, away from prying eyes. Tommy stays outside while Polly and Sam go in. Wait, Sam, what the fuck are you doing? Sam, are you okay? What's happening? Tommy hears gunshots and Polly rushes outside while one of Morello's men informs them the place is theirs now. But Sam is being held captive and Tommy ain't letting that happen. With Polly injured, he goes in by himself and obtains not just his first kill, but 10 of them altogether as he proves himself capable with a firearm as well. He finds him injured and he chases after the lone Morello goon escaping with the cash. During the drive sequence, some other cars come to protect the guy, and Tommy can shoot at them until the cars don't drive anymore. The engines explode, but the car itself doesn't, so this is another one of those instances where I won't count these as kills since it doesn't look like something that will kill the guys inside. However, he does nail the cash grabber and confirms his death. From there, Salieri recognizes Tommy as one of his most dependable soldados and has him interfere with an upcoming race in 1932. One of their consistent moneymakers is in danger of losing people a lot of money after Morello hired a famous European racer with a much faster car to compete in the race. The Don wants Tommy to sabotage the vehicle, which he does by taking it to a mechanic that rigs the engine to blow if it goes too fast. The next morning, while preparing to watch the race, Tommy is approached by Frank Coletti. consigliere and best friend of the Dons. He informs Tommy that Morello roughed up their racer so bad he cannot drive today, and they need someone to take his place. As soon as the race begins, Tommy flies by Morello's hired racer as the car is rendered undrivable and winds up winning the race. This puts a ton of cash into Salieri and company's pockets, and is cause for celebration. Tommy talks with Sarah, the daughter of Luigi and bartender for Salieri's bar. There's a spark between the two, but a shithouse Polly during the Prohibition era is sure to draw some attention, so Tommy takes him home. One night, Tommy gets a request from Luigi. Walks Sarah home from work due to some guys that hang out by her apartment giving her a hard time when she comes home. She's got that sass, and Luigi fears what the men might do if they don't appreciate her shit talking. He's happy to help here and tags along as she drops some leftovers off. Juliet makes things real awkward when she says people have been talking about Tommy.
They do?
Well, anyways.
They continue on and discuss going on a date, but as they near her place, the goons are ready to get rowdy after seeing her with another man. Tommy issues some threats, but despite knowing who he works for, they want to throw down and get their asses beat handily. No deaths here, just some punishment. Sarah notices Tommy is bleeding and brings him upstairs, then casually mentions her heat is out, and that settles them in for the night. The following day, the Don wants those guys taken care of, because if they can't take care of their own, then what good are they? They gather a couple of bats, meet one of their guys in Chinatown for some intel, then locate the guys and bust them up good. This is yet another instance where he seems to just KO them, but it doesn't take long for these guys to gather back up and escalate things using firearms. So Tommy responds in kind and eliminates 15 of them, with 8 getting bounced using explosives. The 2 primary hoods attempt to drive off, but with Tommy as wheelman, he can't be lost that easily and they wind up crashing. However, Tommy hesitates to shoot the guy when given the chance, so Polly does it for him, but runs out of ammo before doming the passenger. They leave before the cops arrive and find out a few days later that the driver was the son of city councilor Roberto Galati, and the passengers survived the wreck and can point the finger at both Polly and Tommy. The Don wants Sam to attend Galati's funeral to locate the survivor, while Tommy knocks out an unrelated job nearby. The owner of a brothel has decided to end business relations with Salieri in favor of Morello, so Tommy needs to pay him a visit, and also eliminate one of the working girls who is spilling details on Salieri's operations. He picks up a bomb from Vinny, and afterwards Sam admits his pillow talk has put a bullseye on that girl, and he asks Tommy to spare her. He drops Sam off at the church and gets to the brothel. He locates Michelle and scares her into leaving town by issuing threats and letting her know she's only alive because of Sam. With that out of the way, he heads downstairs and finds the manager, whose life ends right there. Immediately following that is a shootout that has Tommy killing 21 additional guys, all armed to the teeth. After clearing out the place, he gathers files mentioning Salieri from the manager's office and plants a bomb under the desk. By now, cops are swarming the premises, so Tommy climbs out the window and gets a boost from the blast onto the adjacent rooftop. 6 cops wait for him there and probably wish they hadn't. He performs a balancing act to make it to the scaffolding on the church and hurries down the steps towards the end of the funeral. The priest spots him during the survivor's speech, which puts all eyes on Tommy and all bullets in the Morello goons that try to kill him. It ends with Tommy shooting Johnny, but he makes a mistake and doesn't confirm his death. As the priest scolds Tommy for murdering in a house of God, Johnny gets the drop on him. But then Sam gets a drop on him and ensures Tommy lives to see another day. They pay the priest off and head out the entrance, but a lot of cops are waiting outside and Tommy puts one down. Not willing to stay and fight though, he rushes to a nearby vehicle and Sam follows suit, relying on Tommy's driving to get them to safety. After laying low for several months to keep off police radar, Tommy is called into the office in 1933 by Frank. He needs Tommy to assist Polly and Sam with a booze shipment coming down from Canada. Sam is in the process of meeting the northern carriers, and Tommy will link up with Polly to pick up the shipment. They pull into the meeting spot, but Sam doesn't show up as expected. So while Polly rounds up the goons from the other truck, Tommy scouts things out and finds evidence of foul play. Within seconds of finding the body, Tommy is approached by a couple armed guys telling him to drop his weapon. But instead he drops them alone with 4 others. Polly and the gang join up as soon as Tommy deals with them, but they realize they have a major problem when Polly spots a badge. They begin searching the premises for Sam, finding several corpses in the process, and creating a few more the deeper they get into the farm. They follow the gunfire and watch as Sam gets clipped while defending himself, so Tommy lays the rest of the police to rest. Before rushing into the barn to check on Sam. He's injured pretty badly and can't walk on his own, so Polly runs out to grab the trucks, and in the meantime, Tommy gets some experience in horde mode and finishes the round with 15 more kills. Polly pulls in and they load Sam into the truck, but more cops are on their way sporting heavier firepower than before. Tommy mans a gun specifically named for him and fires upon the police pursuit, gaining 13 kills until the final boss car pulls up and tacks on another 2 when Tommy lights them up with a Molotov. Within just 3 years, Tommy has racked up a kill count of 110, impressing the Don so much that he assigns an important hit job to him alone. Salieri had a hunch about a rat, and when he went to go check their books, he discovered they were all gone. Frank is the only one who has access to them, so when he paid Frank a visit, he found his house empty. He wants Tommy to track Frank down and send Salieri's regards, so he sets out and talks to a couple guys around town and confirms Frank has been working with Morello and the FBI. He's given his location and parks out of sight as Frank leaves the house and heads towards the airport. The place is loaded with agents, so Tommy sneaks around, knocking out 4 of them before confronting Frank. Tommy asks why he did it, and Frank didn't have much of a choice when Morello came after him and his family. He was promised a ticket out of town with his family if he hands over the Don's books. He hands a key over to Tommy and lets him know they're being kept in a safety deposit box in a bank downtown and prepares for the worst. But Tommy can't do it, and instead allows Frank to board the plane with his family and pays the pilot extra to make sure they go wherever they want to go. He picks up the books and takes them back to Salieri. The Don never asks how things went. Instead, they hold a tense funeral with both Salieri and Morello present. Another day, another job. The Don assigns Tommy to gather evidence a prosecutor is putting together for Galati. The man has been out for blood since his son's death and will stop at nothing until Salieri is pinned for it. Tommy is meant to break into the lawyer's mansion while he's at a show and bust into his safe using Salieri's trusted safecracker. They drive there together, and Tommy knocks out 6 guards patrolling the grounds before they break in and locate the safe. Some guys pull in, putting more urgency on the job, and Tommy's impatience proves to be a mistake as he hurriedly gathers the evidence as soon as the safe is open. The alarm triggers, and Tommy is forced into shooting their way out. The 2 escape and ensure the prosecutor can't use that evidence. Salieri's booze reserves are running low, and he needs to make sure he has the cash to pay his guys. But Polly met a man from Kentucky with legitimate distilleries that can provide consistent product for them. Initially, they had to deal with Morello, who strong-armed the Kentuckian into being shortchanged, so convincing him to work with Salieri instead while ripping Morello off is a no-brainer. But as the deal concludes, Morello's men join them in the parking garage and open fire, resulting in their own deaths as Tommy puts them to rest while defending their new truck full of product. They outrun any other goons pursuing them and drop everything off with a Don, who samples it and agrees to start doing business. We jump forward to 1935, with Tommy now a married man and a father. The Don asks Tommy if he wants to join him for lunch since his driver Carlo called out sick. They're escorted to a table at the back and treated like royalty by the owner. But mid-meal, Morello's guys show up outside the restaurant and unleash a barrage of bullets on the patrons inside, killing several people and completely missing Salieri and Tommy. They toss a grenade inside for good measure, but Tommy's quick thinking gets the Don behind the bar and away from the blast. Pissed, the Don grabs a shotgun right next to him and will hold them off while Tommy goes around back and flanks them. This nets him 11 more kills as he obliterates the shooters outside. Realizing his driver called in sick because he knew this shit was going down, he demands Tommy drive him to Carlo's apartment and busts inside. He absolutely gives it to the driver. But like Mike Tyson, the Don's old ass body can't handle all this physical activity, so Carlo sees his opportunity and books it. Tommy takes it from there, chasing him and putting a round in his back despite his pleas. The Don catches up and finishes the job, putting his foot through his skull of Carlo for a messy kill. After that, the Morellos and Salieris are openly at war, and Tommy is called in for a meeting. Morello has friends in high places and Salieri doesn't have the cash to compete, so instead, they're going to convince Morello's friends to abandon him. Tommy's job is to assassinate Galati, which will remove a thorn in their side that has persisted for years. He's scheduled to deliver a speech on his 50th birthday aboard a heavily guarded boat, so to sneak aboard, Tommy is helped out by Sam and Polly, who ensure he's given a disguise. He blends in by doing whatever job he's assigned, then meets with a janitor Salieri paid off to hide a gun on board. There's a temporary annoyance when one of Morello's guys recognizes Tommy and gets his ass beat for it. Afterwards, Tommy finds the gun and sets up shop on the deck overlooking Galati's podium. The fireworks go off, which is Tommy's Tommy's cue to pop Galati between the eyes. This causes mass panic, and Tommy is forced into gunning down another 11 guys in order to meet Sam and Polly as they pull up on a speedboat. The next goal is to reduce cash going into Morello's pockets, and his top earner is his brother Sergio, who is known to be extraordinarily lucky and nearly escapes death one night after Sam and Vinny get a flat tire. The Don realizes if he wants a job done right, he needs his best guy on the job, so Tommy is given a bomb by Vinny to put under Sergio's car. He waits across the street in a payphone, but watches as an unknown woman gets inside the vehicle and haunts Tommy for years when she falls victim to the blast. Tommy calls Vinny to inform him Sergio is nowhere in sight, and that's because Polly and Sam found him at a restaurant, so Tommy speeds over there and they show up with Tommy guns. Sergio takes cover behind a waitress, and survives when Tommy prevents Polly from opening fire on an innocent person. 5 low-level soldados are taken out as they go after Sergio, who escapes in a car with Tommy right behind him on a motorcycle. Polly and Sam attempt to help, but instead crash during the pursuit, leaving it up to Tommy as he follows Sergio all the way to the docks and gets his largest increase in kills yet, with 37 guys failing to take down Salieri's best man. Tommy clips Sergio, who runs into a room filled with explosives, and laughs at how untouchable he is when Tommy's gun runs dry. He quickly realizes he's fucked when Tommy notices all the flammables nearby and tosses his lighter, immolating Sergio in a fiery blaze. Sergio's death escalates the conflict, with open firefights taking place all over the city. However, Tommy doesn't appear in any of the clips here, so no more deaths will be attributed to him. Morello went underground but eventually has to surface, otherwise he risks appearing weak to his men. The Don wants Tommy, Polly, and Sam to murder Morello in front of everyone outside the theater and make a show out of it. But Polly misses, and an ill-timed truck cuts them off. They tail Morello all the way to the airport where his men await. Tommy nails 2 guys with the car and kills one, while Polly finishes off the other. Immediately after that, there is a lot of bloodshed as Tommy nets the most kills with an increase of 19. Fighting ends in a hangar, but Morello is taking off in a plane, so the guys pile in a conveniently placed vehicle and chase him down the runway, where Tommy shoots out both engines. In a mission that's very similar to one in GTA 5, the trio follow the failing plane's smoke across the city until they arrive at its crash site. The pilot is killed in the crash, adding 1 death right before Tommy tacks on another one and finishes Marco Morello off for good. 3 years pass, with Salieri having free reign over the city. In 1938, a politician named Turnbull promises to crack down on crime, and Salieri is not interested in cutting a deal. Instead, he wants Tommy to assassinate the man during a rally by using a sniper planted in the guard tower of an old abandoned prison. Within seconds of Turnbull's arrival, Tommy plants one in the dome. But before he can escape, the walkway falls out from under his feet, knocking him out for a short while and giving police the chance to show up in force. Tommy initially sneaks by some, but gets to a point where he has to shoot the rest of the way out, capping 19 police officers before stealing one of their vehicles and driving that directly home in the most conspicuous ending to a mission. Sarah asks if he heard the news about Turnbull, and all he can say is that the man was crooked, but she makes him feel like shit as the man was reportedly a champion for women's rights and helped get Amendment 19 passed. With the family firmly planted in the city, making money from legal and illegal ventures, the Don wants Tommy, Polly, and Sam to pick up a shipment of cigars. Tommy sniffs that out immediately, saying that seems too small time for the Don, and he reveals there are diamonds stashed within the shipment that the feds are looking for. The guys head towards the harbor, and along the way, Polly admits he intends to rob a bank and believes he can get away with it no problem. Sam wants no part of that, and Tommy suggests he bring the idea to the Don, and if he agrees, then they can do it. Tommy brings a customs truck to Sam and Polly and hides in the back as the other 2 drive the rest of the way. While those 2 pose as customs employees, Tommy sneaks around the warehouse in search of the cigars, knocking out several guys in the process. He finally finds the product, and in a stroke of luck, they sit right by the door where Polly and Sam are waiting. Cops show up, and Tommy has to be crafty in order to avoid their roadblocks. But when they get back to their own warehouse, some of the crates got damaged, and inside they discover they didn't grab diamonds, but instead loads of illicit drugs. That revelation angers all 3 of them, since getting caught would mean life in prison for each of them. But they keep quiet as the Don shows up and promises a hefty bonus for their work. Sam takes the Don home while Tommy and Polly take the train and discuss what's next. Polly is dead set on this bank job and wants to leave his life behind, and Tommy indicates he may be of a like mind. He links up with Polly sometime later and they go over the bank heist plans. Paulie will be crowd control, while Tommy has the manager open the safe for him. They load up and head inside donning masks. Paulie does his part, and Tommy follows the manager at gunpoint. But he makes a silly mistake that gets the 3 guards down there killed as he encourages them to fire on Tommy. He grabs the vault key, and he can choose to kill the manager, but Tommy isn't one to kill an innocent on purpose, even if he did try to get Tommy killed. He opens the safe and loads 1 bag full of cash, but the cops pull in out front. Paulie meets Tommy at the vault and takes the bag, so Tommy can do his thing against the incoming police. They run upstairs and out the back door into the vehicle right outside. And like he always does, Tommy avoids the fuzz and gets them back safely. They agree to meet the following morning and split the cash. So while Paulie heads home, Tommy does the same and informs Sarah that they came into some cash and encourages her to pack some bags for a little vacation. He goes to Paulie's but finds the door ajar and the poor sap shot dead on the ground. The cash is nowhere to be found, and Tommy answers the ringing phone. Sam is on the other end to warn Paulie that Salieri found out about the bank job, but it appears he's too late. He tells Tommy he's in deep shit, so they agree to meet at the city gallery so Sam can provide Tommy some cash he can use to get his family out of the city. Soon after getting there, he quickly finds out Sam is behind it and ratted them out to Salieri. He claims the 2 of them put him in a bad spot, forcing him to choose between friends and family. Regardless of what happens here, Tommy cannot go back to the Don, as Sam informs him the man knows about Frank and Michelle's survival. Sam requests the 2 goons behind Tommy show some mercy and make it quick, but they never get the chance as Tommy acts fast and starts the killing process, eliminating 32 of Salieri's soldados in his pursuit of Samwise the Judas. Eventually, Tommy clips Sam and severely injures him to the point where he begs for Tommy to spare him in exchange for Sam telling the Don he's dead, so he can leave the city with his family. Tommy initially hesitates, but after hearing Sam talk about how Salieri sent a squad to kill Frank and his family in Europe, he had enough and pops him as soon as Paulie's name leaves his lips. He tosses the gun and leaves the gallery. He eventually gets in contact with Detective Norman, the lead guy investigating Salieri. He meets Tommy at a small diner, and Tommy offers up information in exchange for his family's safety. Norman initially says he can't make any promises until he hears what Tommy has to say though. He goes through everything we just witnessed, with Norman realizing Tommy is one of the main guys he's been after for years with all the carnage he's caused. He eventually agrees to help Tommy out, but it's going to be incredibly difficult to keep him safe as the case will likely take years to conclude and he only trusts a handful of guys on the police force. Tommy offers up everything, including Salieri's books, which bring his downfall along with the rest of the guys Tommy got to know over the years. His wife and daughter are kept safe while Tommy serves 8 years in prison. They're relocated out east where Tommy walks his daughter down the aisle at her wedding. In 1951, Tommy is outside watering his yard when a red convertible pulls up behind him. 2 men get out and address him by his last name, and they say Salieri sends his regards before blasting him in the chest with a shotgun. They rush out of there immediately as Tommy's family spills out of their home. In his final moments, he tells them everything is okay, and with his passing, they will all finally be safe. And so will you if you hit that like button below and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one.
But family is forever.
And that's where Tommy Angelo's life ends. The first 30 years of his life were as ordinary as yours or mine, but as soon as he entered that life of crime, things changed drastically, and he put aside his morals to live a more eventful life. I'm not sure he'd exchange it for anything though, as he left behind a family that seemed to adore him. Maybe they'd feel differently if they knew everything that he did. Certainly knowing your husband or father killed 288 people in just an 8-year span would be a lot to fathom. That final kill count would put Tommy Angelo as one of the most prolific killers amongst any mobster in history, eclipsing guys like Roy DeMeo with ease. The majority of Tommy's victims were Morello's men, with 45.14% of the total kills consisting of them. His most utilized weapons were handguns, accounting for 41.67% of the 288 kills. However, Tommy's namesake gun was right behind at 37.85%. It took me 8 hours and 51 minutes to finish the game, which gives us a kill on average every 1.8 minutes. And that concludes Tommy's story, and I'll pick up next with Mafia 2, covering Vito Scaletta. Let me know if you think he'll top Tommy's numbers, and make sure you hit that bell so you're notified as soon as that video drops. Thanks as always for watching. I'm King Deschain, signing off for now.